There's a moment that every entrepreneur, leader, or professional faces. A moment when things feel like they are either at the peak or down in the pit. But here's a thought to keep close: success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is a courage to continue that counts. That quote from Winston Churchill is not just inspiring, it's a reality check for anyone building something meaningful in the business world. I'm Dash, and in this Business Brain episode, we are diving deep into the story behind the courage to keep going even when everything tells you to stop. Let's kick off with a story. Imagine a startup founder, let's call her Meera. She launched a tech platform that aimed to revolutionize how small retailers manage inventory. The launch was a hit, investors were excited, the media wrote glowing articles, and early user feedback was phenomenal. Success, right? But 6 months later, problems crept in. The user base wasn't scaling, bugs popped up, a major investor pulled out, and Meera found herself sitting in an office full of doubt despite once feeling on top of the world. This is where Churchill's quote comes to life. Meera's early success wasn't final, and her current failure wasn't fatal. It was a phase. What mattered most was her courage to continue. She reorganized the team, restructured the product strategy, and doubled down on understanding her customers' real problems. Today, the company might not be on magazine covers, but it's profitable, growing steadily, and solving real world problems. That's business, that's life. In business, we often put success on a pedestal. When a campaign works or a product takes off, we celebrate like we have crossed the finish line. But the truth is, there is no finish line. There are just milestones, and each milestone, whether a win or a loss, is simply a checkpoint on a much longer journey. Think about the sales department in a fast moving consumer goods FMCG company. They may hit a record breaking quarter, celebrate, and get recognition. But if they rest on that win and fail to plan for changing consumer trends and or competitors' next move, they can spiral into decline. Success is never a permanent state. And what about failure? Let's not forget that Apple's first attempt at launching a tablet, the Newton, was a colossal flop. It was mocked, misunderstood, and eventually discontinued. But it paved the way for the iPad, which would go on to redefine the industry. If Apple had viewed that failure as fatal, we would have missed one of the most transformative products of our time. This lesson is especially powerful in departments like R&D and product development. Teams here experiment constantly and failure is a daily visitor. But it's not the failure that defines them, it's their courage to keep innovating, keep testing, and keep learning. Businesses that empower their teams to bounce back faster from setbacks and keep going end up being the ones that evolve. Even HR professionals face this battle. Imagine trying to implement a new work culture, something progressive like a 4-day work week or hybrid flexibility. There'll be a pushback, friction, and maybe even initial failure, but the courage to continue redefining the model, learning from feedback, and standing by your vision is what ultimately transforms organization. So whether you are a founder, a manager, an intern, or a CEO, remember this: your biggest win or your worst day doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do next. The courage to take one more step, to try again, to face the meeting, to send the proposal, to hire, to fire, to build. That's the heartbeat of progress. And if today feels like you're stuck in failure or riding the wave of a wind, pause, breathe, and remind yourself: success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. Thanks for tuning in to Business Brain. I'm Dash, and I'll catch you in the next episode with more stories